they've done game development in Playdemic where just because of the way that the game's progressed, they haven't made any big changes to the clubs, and I'm super glad that they didn't implement the change that they talked about because no, no, I think that the only one of those that was actually absolutely needed to happen was the golf bag one, because right now the golf bag is absolutely useless. Okay, so the whole deal is that that's the advantage right there. That as a clan you're looking for, where you have three different bags. I've got, for the upper level players, I've got the rock, the Thor's hammer, and an apocalypse. Okay, if I can't beat you with those three clubs, then I can't beat you. If you're in the lower levels, having two bags where you pop onto a one and you're like, hey, this is one of those ones where I don't need maximum distance. I'm actually just laying up. That means I need a quarterback because I got great accuracy or whatever. If you had three bags, you could go, this is one of those ones where it's the trick shot that I need the big topper for, and so bam, you pull the big topper out. Right? That would be that. So the some of the changes that they've made in the game, like with the pairings on one-on-one, it's different, but I'm talking about in the tournaments. In the tournament pairings, the way that they've got it all set up, if they really expanded the divisions, right now we're just kind of like if they want to really pick a direction for the game to go, instead of dicking around with clubs, which they don't really need to do. And that whole issue about those extra club cards is only for the guys that have maxed out clubs. If you don't have any maxed out clubs, then it ain't affecting you. Okay, so the whole deal with the maxed out club cards, I really think that they should make it a permanent change. But if you got a common card and it took 4,000 cards to get it to maxed out, then you got to get another 4,000 cards, or you got to get another 8,000 cards, and then you can upgrade it. You get 5 points to put wherever you want on that card. And so, hey, the guys that are way at the top that have been playing for a long time, that have tons of maxed out cards, are going to get an instant boost in this game. So, so the deal is that those guys deserve to get a boost because they play at that level. They're obviously playing at the Masters level. They're playing at a different level. And so for them to get a boost, it's not going to affect any of us here because none of us are playing with those guys. Yeah, there are some clubs that I have that I will probably be able to max out. Like the common cards, and I could get 5 points to put on my sniper or 5 points to put on my quarterback. If I could put 5 points on my quarterback and give it a little bit more distance, right? No, I mean, I'll tell you the club to have, dude, is a level 8 rock, right? A level 8 rock is an awesome club. It's in between the distance of a quarterback and an extra mile. It's at 226, and I think an extra mile is at 236, and a quarterback's at what? Or excuse me, 117. One, one. I think it's 217. Right. So I think it's 217 and 236, and then the rock at level 8 is like 226. And I mean that's awesome. I mean anywhere in the 220s. I mean if you're more than the quarterback, and it's an awesome club when it gets to level 8, as some of those clubs should be. But the deal with the clans is that if they expanded the divisions and went, hey, look, and there's some changes that have actually been made to the game that nobody really understands exactly how those changes have affected the game. Where if you so the way that the matching is in tournaments is that you have a rookie division and you've got rookies, pros, experts, and masters. You got a pro division, a pro tournament that some guys that are experts are playing in, and some guys that are masters like the pro. They like playing from the second tee. They like lower wind, and they've got great clubs for that. I mean, I could play pro. The pro division, the pro expert, even the master stuff. Anybody can play at those levels. That's what's crazy about it is that it's all about balls. They talked about wanting to make some clubs better or worse. You can make clubs better with a ball, And that's why the balls have become such a big deal. So if they're going to rework clubs, they know in their algorithm how many how many people use certain clubs or at what levels people use them. So like when people are like in the first, you know, 2 or 3 weeks of playing, maybe they play with a Castaway, but as soon as they get their X club to level 3, then they'll never use a Castaway ever again. Right? No, I mean taking some of those clubs like that in each one of those divisions that they think are garbage. And really I think the drivers are perfect because it's just like playing real golf. You can go out and everybody out there can drive for show, but it's all that putting for dough, right? And so those clubs in this particular game, anything shorter than a driver, now you're getting into where you have to be a little more technical in order to get that ball in the hole. Your driver's just kind of getting you out there in the spot where you can take that next shot. And so I think having a really good driver at extra mile right off the bat really kind of makes the game. If they took the extra mile out or if they changed the extra mile and made it less than what it is, they would actually lose a lot of beginning players because you got to give them some hope. And the hope is, it's like the underdog that just stays in there for the whole game and just keeps getting better. Well, you're right. So I mean, if we take a open your game up, and if we take the rocket as an example, you take the rocket as an example. So I mean, you use the rocket when you're lower level, and I've got an extra mile as my assigned driver. The I've got a maxed out rocket, and a maxed out rocket, it's the first common card that you're going to get in drivers. It's got shit power at 211. It's got fairly good accuracy at 90, which is at the beginning of the game is a really big deal because any better accuracy you can get is better. It's basically the the beginner quarterback. It's got good accuracy. It's got great ball guy when it gets to the max. I don't know what it looks like when it's brand new. It's probably really, really ugly. No, 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 no. But you need a rocket at the beginning because there are some in between times when your extra mile is like level 1 and 2, where you need a club with some more accuracy because the extra mile at that point is kind of like you know. Well, I think the rares should be better than any of the commons, but you have to look at where they place the club. So I mean, if we're looking in just the driver section, we just start off with the driver section. So they put them in this order. So tour one, the first club that you should get is the rocket because you're playing tour one. You should get the rocket before you get the extra mile. Okay, so you've got a common card. So and it's the first card that you encounter, and then you've got a an extra mile. You got a big topper. Um, I the apocalypse should be the baddest, the best card in the bunch, and a Thor's hammer. If I can't select those two, so I can compare them. You can, but I can't. So, I mean, if you look at a Thor's hammer when it gets maxed up, I know that in my other account, when it gets to level 5, it starts to become. I mean, I actually got on the forum when I was at that point, and because I just went to Tour 10 and wanted to know if that was because I hadn't spent any money on clubs, like spent gems on clubs, whether it was worth it. And I bought 10 cards for the Thor's hammer the first time it came up in the store to get that sucker to level 5 because at level 5 it becomes a really good club. But if you have a maxed out apocalypse, at a maxed out apocalypse, if the it should be the best club out there. So like no matter what level you're playing. So I mean if you're playing in the upper levels where you're playing from the third tee box, the what clubs you bring, you would think that okay, hey, I need big distance because I'm playing from the third tee box. There are a lot of those holes that you're shooting the par three with your driver. So having a high level rock, even though the apocalypse has got all of the numbers, having some of those other drivers won't hurt you as bad as you would think, because if you can play that club. But I mean, if they want to do something with the extra club cards, they have to remember, and everybody, all of the players that are out there have to remember that this only affects the people that have maxed out clubs. So if you haven't played for very long, it's not going to affect you. So this really isn't right. I mean, the whole deal was is that they could just quit giving you cards and you get more of the other cards. They just take it out of the loop. So no, no, they just take, yeah, when you're all done, when you have them all maxed out. Okay. The whole deal is that you don't want, what's cool about the way that they have the game is that they can manipulate the wind, and they can manipulate when they're developing new holes, because the holes, if you go back and look at some of the beginning holes as far as like architecture, they, like this particular, the fall major, when you were on the par fours shooting for the green shot, if you were doing a bump and run with a rapier, you had to adjust the ball. You couldn't go straight at the pin. And the deal was is it wasn't because of wind. The deal was it was because of the slope on the green, because they've went through and they've added just enough slope on those greens that you have to adjust for how much slope, like where your ball is going to go, and as it's slowly going down towards the hole, because you put all that topspin on it, gravity's pushing it down the slope, and the slope is taking effect, and so as it's going towards the hole, it's gradually dropping. And so and so I missed the several shots because I miscalculated that. I did adjust for it, but like you have to look at it a little differently than the wind. So like with Well, there is no wind when you're doing a bump and run, but there's another hole that we play on another course where I actually hit through the trees. It's the only hole that I can think of where I purposely hit through the trees. And yeah, it's a par four, and you shoot, and then your next shot, whatever it is, onto the green, whether it's from the rough or from the fairway or the fringe, is they're like that hole has a ton of slope. So you adjust for the slope, not for the wind. But I think in the driver category, that the way that the drivers are set up, I mean, that setup works. If their only question is what to do with the top cards, the deal is that whatever they decide they're going to do, they have to do that for the guys that have extra cards. So if they say, hey, when you get to the top, you can do one of several things. They could say, hey, you can max out the card, and then if you max out the card again, you can put points on the card and you can use those for points. Or, hey guys, when we originally designed this, we didn't anticipate that people were going to max out their cards, their clubs. So what we're going to do is we're just the club set that we have is is a fixed set. This is what's on the market. Now maybe they could bring out a card, you know, they could bring out a new card, that does something a little bit different. And maybe you traded a card, maybe you traded a club, and you had to, there was a bartering system where you traded the club for, another new club or something, so that you could trade clubs out of your bag. They might be able to do that and not, but but I like not messing with the club. This is an established part of the game. So messing with clubs, they can adjust wind, they can do the clan thing, but really messing with the clubs is not a good thing. But I do believe that there are some of these clubs that can be reworked, the ones that aren't being used, and they know which ones aren't being used. But in their proposal, they were messing with one, the Falcon, two, three, the Rapier, four, five. They were messing with five of seven Tour 7 cards and actually nerfing them and actually lowering their stats instead of saying, hey, okay, these are the cards at the top. And what cards down here do we need to adjust to make them so that they're in par with what's at the top? Instead of nerfing the stuff at the top and then lowering the standard. So the whole deal is that, it's not, I worked really hard to get my Nirvana to level 6. I would really like it to be at level 8, but I worked really hard to get it to level 5 and 6 because it gets a bump. And for them to take away Ball Guide, they were taking away Ball Guide on the Spitfire, the Nirvana, and the Rapier. And one of them they were taking away, I think it was the Nirvana, I think they were taking away like 0.8. I mean, 0.8. That goes from 4.2. No, it's a 3.9 right now, so it'd be a 3.1 if it was the Nirvana. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the Rapier. And I mean, that kills that club. I mean, it's a 3.6. Now we're at 2 something. I mean, anything that you take away on those clubs, the Spitfire, I mean, it's at 3.1. If I could get my Spitfire in 77 to like level 4, where I can flatten it out just a little bit more, I'm looking for whatever the next bump is in Ball Guide, where I can flatten that thing out. I mean, that combo of having the Spitfire, the Nirvana, and the Rapier for your bottom 3 clubs, I mean, all 3 of those clubs respond the same way. They all flatten out on the green. Now, I think if they want to do something with those cards, they can either give guys points or they can just say, "Hey, look, we made we didn't make a mistake. This is just how the game evolved." And so what we're going to do from this point on is that when you get to the point where your clubs are maxed out, you won't get that club anymore until you max out your set. And then once you max out your set, maybe, there's you don't want to be given bonuses for everything when you get to that point. Otherwise, the next thing you know, we're well, no, that's the same thing as the castle building games. We came from COK, so the whole deal is, you know, we're striving to get to level 30, and we get to level 30, and then they say, okay, hey, now we're gonna make it level 30 with prestige level 6, and now we're gonna make, you know, right, yeah, now we want a prestige level. So, and then it's always got to be something better. Most guys go out and play golf in the real world. They have a selection of golf clubs that they can buy at the golf store, and they go out and they play with those clubs. I will say this: this will, in my opinion, this right here will solve a lot of issues and open some doors. Is if they did exactly what we're talking about right there, where they had additional clubs that they entered into the game, and maybe they phased clubs into the game and they gave guys a bigger selection of clubs. Or if you're playing with a matched set, because I think playing with a matched set of commons where you're playing with that quarterback, that sniper, that Saturn, or the backbone, and you're playing with a claw and a skewer, and you're playing with a complete set of commons, that if you go out and you play golf with a set of clubs, you're always a lot more, because from the one club to the next, they're there to complement each other, right? And so if you do the same thing with the clubs that you have here, if they want to add in some new clubs or give us some variation on that stuff, I'd really like them to say, hey, when you enter a qualifying round, the first thing you have to do is declare your bag. Like, these are the clubs that I'm going to bring to play in this qualifying round. And you have to stick with the same clubs for the entire qualifying round. Now, when you get done with that qualifying round and you've qualified and you're going to the end of the opening round, at the beginning of the opening round, you have to declare your bag. So you may go through that qualifying round and say, you know what? I can get away. There's these two holes right here. I'm gonna get killed on because I brought a sniper. But if I can hang through, if I can figure out a way to shoot those two holes with that sniper is gonna kill anybody who brought a guardian. Just because of those two holes. And so you could bring your extra mile or you could bring your Apocalypse 7. But there's five holes when you're in Masters because it plays different. There might be five or six holes where you really need a rock or you really need one of those. There's just that one stat that's in that club that for whatever reason on how that holes are laid out, like that's the club to mix in. Like this particular tournament we just got done with, there was two holes where the big topper was a pretty good club to bring, where normally you wouldn't use that in play, and I actually used the big topper on one of those holes. I practiced for a whole day with nothing but the big topper, and I practiced for a whole day with the quarterback. And I got my, I got my, I got. I will tell you, with the quarterback, there was holes that I dominated, but there was a few holes on this. I mean, you could play them with the quarterback, no problem, but you had to just play them a different way. And I was trying to figure out the numbers by trying to get over the deal to see, there's always that number out there on the course. It's like 400 yards or whatever. But hey, when we're back on the clan deal, so if they take in their algorithm and they had, like, if you went to the divisional rankings and they actually had a true ranking, like I can go to 77's ranking, like on the world chart, and that's just in the world ranking. That's not like in the division that I'm actually declared in. That they can do a lot more with these clans because it would really be nice if the clan thing became a lot more cohesive where we came in as a team. Well, not necessarily going into the tournaments together because you don't want a bunch of people, you don't want people from within the clan knocking out other people in the clan. But the way that the brackets are set up, I'm telling you, like I went through a whole bunch of people that were in Odd Odds Clan, and they're all masters or experts, and they're all masters or experts right now. And the ones that aren't are kind of probably like Ott, where I didn't play it for a while and it just went down week to week. You're not going to be playing for a week? You got what? Why? You're already there. No, okay, maybe. Well, that's for damn sure. Because I'm going to tell you now, you're in the Masters deal, buddy. So, like in odds, if in 77's bracket, there was, I mean, it was, oh, fuck, man, this bracket was so doable. I mean, I'm really, it's not here anymore. So the guy who won had a minus 29. And I was thinking in my head, minus 29, minus 30 would win it outright. And at minus 29, I had tiebreakers with the guy. I would have won if I'd have shot a minus 29. But so at minus 28, there was second, third, fourth. Second, third, and fourth were 28. There's three 28s. And if I wouldn't have gotten the fucking glitch and I got a 27, which is what I should have got, I would have been the top 27. I would have came in fifth place. The the competition that's up there at that level. If you look at those guys, if you look at those guys opening rounds and stuff, they shot 26s, 27s. I mean, they were shooting up there at the top, and it's just a matter of whoever got lucky that day. but I'm I'm not happy about 14th. Fifth would have been, hey, fifth is better than fourth. I fucking hate fourth. Yeah, but that didn't happen in odd odds bracket though. Odd odds in that Masters bracket, and the guy that won had a minus 31, and the guy who came in second, I think, had a minus 29. I think there was more than one 29. There was a bunch of 28s. When I quit looking, I think I came in 45th or something, and I shot a 25, and it was 25s all the way down past 50. I think it was like you went down to 60 before you got out of 25s, and then it was 24s, and then there was probably like 10 or 15 people at the bottom that didn't play or just like screwed up. But like the top 80, 85 people shot six or shot 24 better. And most of those groups where it's like, if you shoot, so that's the whole deal about in that particular setup. That's awesome because the whole thing is what would be even now the way that it's set up now with the tie breaks, the tie breaks come into play, but it really the tournaments are getting so tight on one round that the winner, it's kind of like in the old style NASCAR where they did for points and now they actually have a tournament. So if we're gonna have a tournament, let's have a tournament so that you're counting all of the rounds. Like this is the round that I'm willing to put in as my qualifying round. So, and it would be nice too if in the game where you're qualifying, you have the ability to abort. Not so that you're not. So the deal is that you're playing competitively with everybody out there. You're not missing putts or forfeiting because the deal is I will miss putts, but if my opponent is in trouble and I can get the eagle, you know, I don't. But I mean, because you play against me that I don't. When I'm shooting those shots onto the green with my short iron and stuff, I'm dead serious. If I can sink that shot and get an eagle, I'm going to sink that shot and get an eagle because that's the shot I'm actually practicing for. And if I do forfeit the game, I'm going to forfeit it by missing a putt. But I've gotten on there where the guy got in the rough and I ended up shooting a fucking eagle or something and ended up helping that guy out and getting him a birdie because he was fucked. Excuse the language on that, but he was in big trouble. It would be nice if they had a way for you to abort. That way you could get to hole number 8 and say, you know what? I shot that. I missed that eagle on that one hole, and I think I can get those other ones. I can get back to where I was. So I'm going to abort this round, and and then maybe the drawback is that you don't get the offer. Well, they do want you to buy the offer, so you get the offer. What was I thinking? No, I mean, hey, I will tell you right now that right there is something that they should never mess with because there's a lot of people. Hey, think about how much more game time the game gets when people go in there and they're playing the game and then they buy a $1.99 pack and then and in order to do that, the whole thought process is that I have to turn around and play the game again for an hour. And so that's and they may opt because they really like that deal. They may opt to not, or they may, like I did, blow a shot on the first hole and then go crap and then have another practice round and then buy that again and then have to go in there and be dead serious about it on Wednesday. But I think that your qualifier, your opening round, and your final round should be tallied up so that you have to, what the deal is you got 400 people playing, and out of that 400 you're really now going to see, because I've had weeks where I had a really bad, I barely qualified, and I barely, I did the opener half good, and then I had a smoking good round and won, that I probably would have came in fifth if we'd have been in a tournament style, because I'm sure some of those guys shot really consistently up at the top all week. but there are also weeks where I shot up at the top all week and I've lost tournaments because somebody was hot that day. If you want to make them hot that day, then they have to be hot and catch up from all the other screw ups that they've done up to this point. So if they shoot a minus 31 and a perfect mistake free round is a minus 24, that means they got 7 shots over in 18 holes. I mean, holy crap. 7 shots over. Right. That's a lot. No taking naps. I got you. All right. Have a good one.